The U.S. could require bonds of up to $15,000 for some tourist and business visas under a pilot program launching in 2 weeks. The move is part of an effort by the Trump administration to crack down on visitors who overstay their visas. A government notice issued Monday said the funds will be returned to travelers if they depart in accordance with the terms of their visas. Ghulam Asghar, who is visiting New York from the UK, isn't a fan of the new policy.
I think it will be a little unfair with the visitors because it's a lot of money for them. Because normally I think when you come here, you spend, if you are here for 10, 15 days, you will spend maybe $4,000 or $5,000 US. But if it's another 15 grand on top, it's just a lot.
The program gives U.S. consular officers the discretion to impose bonds on visitors from countries with high rates of visa overstays, according to a Federal Register notice. It also said bonds could also be applied to people coming from countries where screening and vetting information is deemed insufficient. Jeff Freeman, who heads the U.S. Travel Association, says he is concerned the policy will serve as a deterrent for people considering visiting the U.S.
I'm not worried about keeping out the traveler who would overstay their visa. I'm worried about keeping out the millions of people who want to come to the United States, spend their money, and go home and tell their friends and family to do the same thing. If we lose those travelers, if those travelers choose to go to other markets, our travel trade deficit will grow, our small businesses will suffer, and the U.S. economy will take a hit.
President Donald Trump's immigration policies have led some visitors to skip travel to the United States. Transatlantic airfares dropped to rates last seen before the COVID-19 pandemic in May, and travel from Canada and Mexico to the U.S. fell by 20% year over year. The new visa program goes into effect later this month and will last for about a year. The travel industry is already grappling with a provision in a sweeping spending package passed in the Republican-controlled U.S. Congress in July. It created a $250 visa integrity fee for anyone approved for a non-immigrant visa that could potentially be reimbursable for those who comply with visa rules.
We think this fee could have a substantial deterrent on people choosing to come to the United States. It ranks the United States number 2 in the world in the most expensive country to get into from a fees standpoint. That's before you already get into the country that has a strong dollar and is already cited for its high costs as a reason not to come to the United States.
The $250 fee goes into effect on October 1st.
Hiroshima 県議会議長
内閣総理大臣として
As Prime Minister, I would like to offer my sincerest condolences to the souls of those who fell victim to the atomic bomb. And I would also like to offer my heartfelt sympathy to the survivors who are still suffering from the after effects of the atomic bombing.
心からのお見舞いを申し上げます。広島、長崎にもたらされた惨禍を
We must not repeat the tragedy that was brought upon Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It is our country's responsibility, as the only nation that have suffered atomic bombings, to uphold the 3 non-nuclear principles and lead the global initiative for a world without nuclear weapons.
核戦争のない世界、そして核兵器のない世界の実現。
I pledge to work with all my strength for a world without nuclear wars and weapons, as well as eternal peace.
On its first test run with a European Union patrol in the Red Sea last year, this Greek-made anti-drone system showed what it was capable of. It took down 2 aerial drones launched by Yemen's Houthis and caused another 2 to retreat by jamming their electronics. That's according to Kyriakos Enotiadis, electronics director at state-run Hellenic Aerospace Industry, or HAI, which produces the anti-drone system.
I am not aware of any other battle-proven anti-drone systems neither in Greece nor in Europe.
Υπάρχουν και άλλες εταιρείες μεγάλες του χώρου, πολύ μεγαλύτερες θα έλεγα από την ΕΑΒ, οι οποίες
There are other large companies in the sector, very large ones I would say, which make electronic anti-drone systems, but none of them are battle-proven. In other words, they have not operated and shown their worth on the battlefield.
The successful test run added impetus to Greek government plans to develop a homegrown industry for anti-drone and drone systems, part of a nearly $35 billion program aimed at modernizing the country's armed forces by 2036. Greece spends nearly 3.5% of its gross domestic product on defense due to long-standing disputes with Turkey, but the domestic defense industry accounts for only a fraction of that. Turkey, its neighbor and NATO ally, is a prolific drone exporter. Until now, Greece has been using only a few dozen drones, mostly made abroad. But in the coming decade, Greece plans to incorporate all kinds of drone technology into its armed forces and invest some $925 million in defense innovation. Zacharias Saris is the co-owner of Altis, one of the few Greek private companies that manufactures combat drones. The firm exports intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance drones to 5 countries. Saris says he's very optimistic about the future of the Greek drone industry, adding that the country has a great need for the technology because of its complex geopolitical position.
Дымит. Красавчик.
Around 130 people were rescued last night. The search operation continues unabated. Due to bad weather, road connectivity has been lost at various places, and some bridges have been damaged. So it's getting hard to get there.
The collection, again, is really small, and we have things that range from 200 to 300, things that go for 3,000 to 5,000. Because it's so important and it's Whitney Houston, we want these pieces to hammer at the highest prices possible because, again, it's all going back to charity. So we have this incredible Bob Mackie casino jacket, and as you'll see in the jacket, it has a roulette wheel, it has dice, it has the 777s, you know, really evocative of life in a casino. Over here, and these are some of my favorites, these are Dolce & Gabbana pumps from her 1999 My Love Is Your Love World Tour. Dolce & Gabbana was one of her favorite designers, which is why I am in homage wearing leopard myself.